Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dominions 5. We've stopped the Makone campaign. Joman is not going to be able to restart, unfortunately. I don't know what it is, but I've had real problems recording Joman. I think I've resolved them at this point, but there have been several turns missed, and anyway, I've kind of lost interest in Joman. Things stalled a little bit. So today, we are starting something very, very different in Dominions 5. If you notice, up here, we have the Skaven mod installed, and we are going to be playing a modded Dominions 5 nation. Dominions has always attracted a lot of mods. It's apparently very easy to mod in Dominions nations. It's mainly a matter of editing text files and creating sprites, which is fairly simple as modding goes. I have never been a skilled modder myself, so from my perspective, it is still wizardry. But there's a lot of that wizardry going around. And this is a Warhammer mod. You may have seen the videos on my channel that are Total War Warhammer 2 videos, some of which include playing as the Skaven. So the Skaven are a race from the Warhammer Fantasy Battles setting that was current up until, gosh, when did Age of Sigmar start? A couple of years ago. And the Skaven are still in Age of Sigmar, just different. But so this nation is based off of this race of evil, betraying, cunning, underground ratmen who worship the horned rat, who is a demon who promises control over the surface world and endless domination over all the other species, and who mainly are held back by their own treachery, backstabbing, and chaotic lack of organization, despite having enormously advanced technology compared to a lot of other members of the setting. Losing my words here. Basically, the Skaven are what happens if you take giant sentient rats, add in chronic backstabbing disorder, and then make a significant fraction of them outright mad scientists. So they're loads of fun. They are just all kinds of fun. I love them. And we are going to play them in the Dominions context and see how well this mod has managed to translate that frenetic, chaotic, backstabbing Skaven feel into Dominions. This mod includes, of course, all new units, a new lineup of commanders, and a whole bunch of national spells, as well as interesting cross paths. So I am definitely looking forward to getting into it. So we're going to create a world. We're going to make a random map. It'll be medium-sized. We are going to go... Full wraparound is kind of the most realistic, quote-unquote. That's what you see most often in multiplayer matches. I think I'm going to stick with east-west wraparound, just so we do have some borders to the map. So it'll be like a wheel. We'll have... north and south borders, but we will have east-west wraparound. We are enabling rivers and caves, normal amount of water. Yeah, we'll leave the normal amount of water on. Medium-sized map. And this game will be Skaven. Yes, yes. Middle Ages, that's where the Skaven are. We will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total nations. And we are going to crank the AI up just a little bit to difficult. We'll leave the AI types on random. And I'm going to be the Skavenblight, the rise of the Under-Empire. The Skaven are a race of evil, warpstone-corrupted ratmen who have tunneled under much of the old world and beyond. They are naturally cunning and vicious, incredibly numerous, and capable of surviving in adverse conditions. However, they are also cowardly and prone to infighting. Skaven society follows a strict hierarchy. The Council of 13 and Grey Seers at the top, Greater and Warlord clans in the middle, and the countless slaves at the bottom. So, we are playing as Skavenblight against our 5 opponents. So here you can see the rise of the Under-Empire. So there are the mighty lords of the capitals, the mysterious city of Skavenblight, hidden in the center of the foul marches on the western borders of Tilia. This is all Warhammer-specific information. You can see we have the Council of 13 and the Grey Seers at the top of the hierarchy, the Warlord clans, the slaves at the bottom. The fortunes of any individual are a different matter, though. No race is so prone to scheming, intrigue, and outright betrayal as the Skaven, with each rat-like mind devoted almost entirely to climbing the slippery ladder of power. So, national features. We have poison resistance pretty much nationwide. We're stealthy. Everyone is stealthy, pretty much. Our high-quality infantry are stealthy. Our ninjas are stealthy. Our commanders are stealthy. Everyone has, I think, at least stealth 40, which basically means no Skaven unit can ever be seen unless there is a spy watching them. Or, of course, a battle is fought. We have massed infantry, experimental weapons, virulent plagues, and mutated beasts. Magic, we have death, astral, fire, earth, and blood. We can perform blood sacrifice and have powerful priests. Special rules can discover warpstone, exhaust it, and reopen exhausted warpstone seams with labs. I don't actually know what this means. I think it refers to some kind of event that can occur. Just a random event that helps you. Full disclosure, I have not played these Skaven yet, so we will see how they are. And they have standard forts. So, we start with the Undercity, which gives us fire and earth gems. The Pillars of Skavenblight, which give us death and astral gems and enables recruitment of Grey Seers. And the Council Chambers, which enable recruitment of the Council Guard. Commander-wise, we have Scouts, who are, well, Scouts. They have 1 point of poison resistance, which is pretty unimpressive. They do have 75% dark vision, which I think all Skaven have? Yeah, all Skaven have 75% dark vision. So that's interesting. So after our Scouts, we have Chieftains, which are our basic leaders. They have leadership 40. They do have Taskmaster +1, so they give a morale bonus to slaves, and they have a siege bonus. And they are high protection and armed with glaives, so high damage as well. We have Molder Packmasters, and Molder Packmasters have a small amount of leadership. They're +3 Beastmasters. They're -1 inspirational, so if they're leading actual normal troops, they give a significant morale penalty, -2. But if they're leading animals, they give a total of +1. They have a siege bonus. They have animal awe, so animals have to pass a check in order to attack them. And they have mountain survival. They are armed with a Molder Whip and are automatically accompanied by 2d6 Molder Giant Rats, and so 2d6 +2 Molder Giant Rats. Interesting. Stat-wise, unimpressive. We have Warlords, who are our high-quality leaders. They are ambidextrous Taskmasters, have a 3-point siege bonus, are armed with 2 falchions, and have leadership 100. So they give a pretty significant morale bonus, especially to slaves. They give +2 to slaves. We have Eshin Assassinin, who are very, very stealthy, extremely stealthy. They are 3-point assassins, so very good assassins, actually. Ambidextrous, they are also spies. They only cost 1 recruitment point, so I can churn these guys out 2 at a time. Stat-wise, very, very good. Magic resistance is a little bit low, but their defense skill and attack skill are both quite high. Their strength is okay. They have high hit points, and they have these Weeping Blades, which are magical weapons that also inflict strong poison. So they do 15 points of poison damage. That is armor negating. That is... yeah, these guys are really good assassins. Oof. Impressive. They do cost 90 gold, so they're pretty expensive. But like I said, you can turn these guys out 2 at a time. Then getting into mages, we have the Pestilence Plague Chantor, or Chantor. So the Skaven are ruled by different clans. Clan Pestilence is one of the largest clans, and it's a clan devoted to plague and decay and the worship of the evil gods of such. So the Plague Chantors are sacred, holy, they are priests, they have a random level in death or blood. The Skaven have a lot of blood magic. They have a Falchion, Pestilent Bite, very low leadership. They do Berserk. They're Berserkers +2, which will push their strength and attack up. And they have Swamp Survival. So interesting. Not sure they're worth all that much, but they are sacred, and they cost almost nothing to keep up. So you might... so I'm thinking these guys might be excellent lab monkeys, because they get you... they're better than... more than 1 point of research per 10 gold, which is a good ratio. And then their upkeep is like nothing. Less than 30 gold per year. So about 2 gold per month. We have the Squire Warlocks. Squire Warlocks are adept researchers. So they have 11 points of research. They have 2 randoms. A fire or earth random, a fire, earth, death random, and then a 13%. 13 is a magical number for the Skaven. You have the Council of 13 who leads them, and the number 13 crops up in a lot of different places. So this is kind of a cheeky call out to that. A 13% chance of yet another random, so about 1 out of 7 will have 3 paths total of the Squire Warlocks. So pretty decent value. They are shock and poison resistant and stealthy. They have a high siege bonus, which isn't really relevant for mages. But these guys might be decent lab monkeys and possibly even combat casters depending on their paths. They also have the Warp Blade, which is a magic weapon that also inflicts shock damage. Then we have the Molder Mutator. Clan Molder is another of... So, Clan Pestilence is one great clan. Clan Squire is another great clan that basically focuses on mad science. And Clan Molder is a third great clan that focuses on mutations and creating new kinds of beasts for use in war primarily. So the Molder Mutator is a blood searcher, has a level of blood and a level of earth, 3 points of animal awe, and is a Beastmaster +4. So these guys are going to be our primary, like, blood searchers, basically. I mean, I guess what you could do is you could use Plague Chantors, because you can just spam these guys out really cheap, and any who get a level of blood you can use to blood search. The Molder Mutator will be twice as efficient, but they're more than twice as expensive and not sacred. So probably if you have the time, it's actually more effective to use these guys. Anyway, the Molder Mutators are interesting, especially because with the Earth Blood, I think there's a special Skaven Earth Blood crosspath spell they can use. You don't want to recruit them for research, definitely. Then you have the Pestilence Plague Priest, who has a guaranteed 1 death, another death or blood, and then 3 13% random, so quite a decent chance of getting a third path. Also sacred, they have the Plague Scepter, which has an AoE 3 poison cloud that is armor negating. Okay, so that poison resistance will be very, very useful if you use these guys in the front line. They have a lot of hit points, and they have decent stats. Their paths are not great for thugging, but if they got 2 or 3 death, you might be able to do something with that. Then you have the Squire Warlock Engineers, who have Fire, Earth, and Death, 1 guaranteed random and 3 13% randoms. So they're guaranteed to have either 2 Fire or 2 Earth, which makes them pretty solid combat mages right out the gate. The other thing is they have a Forge bonus. So like the Buddhas, in my Machaca multiplayer game, these guys can forge items very, very efficiently. In particular, if I can get them with 2 earth, forge earth boots, get up to 3 earth, then they can forge dwarven hammers to give themselves an even better forge bonus. Even with the Adept Researcher, their research is not terribly impressive, especially because their upkeep is high, so I wouldn't want them for lab monkeys. I would want them for combat use and forging. And then my really high-level capital-only mage, the Grey Seer, has 2 Astral and 2 Death, with 1 guaranteed Astral Death random and then 3 13% randoms. So these guys are going to be the heavy hitters, especially because, well, they can't get Earth. So they can't forge crystal items. That's a bit of a downer, but having 2 Astral, 2 Death, Astral and Death are both good paths. Having access to 3 Astral or 3 Death is very, very solid. They are also very stealthy, they're fortune tellers, and they're spies. So you can sneak these guys into enemy territory and use them to accomplish, I don't know, something. And they're also priest level 3, which is great, because that means they can capture thrones. Troop-wise, I have Skaven Slaves, which cost nothing. Literally nothing, except they have 5 recruitment points, which is interesting. They cost more recruitment points than anything. They're garbage, they're worthless, they're undisciplined, they are stealthy, they're slaves, they have morale 6. So basically these guys are just kind of meat shields. I'm not sure I'll ever really want or need them except for patrolling. I have Clan Rats, which are mostly garbage but do have a high defense skill, so there's that going for them, and they are still very, very cheap. 7 gold, 9 resources. Yeah, very cheap. I have Clan Rats with swords, who have some armor and cost more resources. I have Plague Monks, which cost 8 gold and 4 resources. And they are, interesting. They have a short sword. They have a Pestilent Bite attack that, oh my god. This diseases people they wound? Magic resistance negates. Wow, that's crazy dangerous. I mean, not in the short term, but in the long term, if you throw armies of Plague Monks at people, their whole army is just going to end up diseased to hell. They are berserkers, so their strength and attack skill will go up when they get injured, assuming they survive. So there's that. They are also undisciplined. I have Eshin Night Runners, who have a net. Oh, that's super, super dangerous. Okay, these guys are fantastic. They have limited recruitment. A lot will depend on how limited that recruitment is. If it's like 1 per round, they're not very useful. If it's 5 or 6 per turn, you can do something with that. Then I get into the actual infantry. Storm Vermin are definitely going to be the main line holders. They have Bodyguard, they have a Glaive, so they do quite a bit of damage, and they have decent protection and decent defense skills. So they're solid. They also have almost decent morale. I mean, only 9. So definitely want to pair them with a... Warlords aren't inspirational. Who's inspirational? I know there were some inspirational commanders. No, you're inspirational -1. Yeah, I have to pair them with a Warlord, I guess, just to give them a little bit of a buff. I have Gutter Runners, which also have limited recruitment. Gutter Runners are basically better Night Runners. They have Esh and Shuriken that apply poison. They don't have nets, though. But they have the Gutter Blades that are also poison, and their defense skill and attack skill are higher. Overall, I think I probably want the Night Runners, though. I mean, Gutter Runners are nice, but Night Runners have nets. Can Eshin Assassins... Oh, Eshin Assassins have leadership. Oh, that is so dangerous. You can pair an Eshin Assassin with a pack of Night Runners. Well, but I guess you can't take troops into assassination attempts. That's right. Okay. You could definitely steal provinces that way, though, because you can crank out 2 of these guys per turn, give them a bunch of Night Runners or Gutter Runners or something. Actually, heck, all your troops are stealthy. You can just pump these guys out, send them out Storm Vermin. Then our Sacreds are the Council Guards, who are the elite albino Storm Vermin. Higher attack and defense skill, much higher morale. They have a patrol bonus, which is interesting. They have 2 points of bodyguard, so they can protect people during assassination attempts, and their glaives hit harder. Plus, they are sacred, so they can be blessed. And then we have the Pestilence Censer Bearers, which are a very interesting unit. They cost a lot of gold, not much by way of resources. They are sacred, and the Plague Censer, it's a great big flail that causes an area of effect poison cloud that is armor negating. Now, the Censer Bearers have poison resistance 3, so they will usually, I think, negate this damage, at least most of it. They will still take some, but they have relatively high hit points and poison resistance. They also have the Pestilent Bite that inflicts disease. But against non-poison resistant enemies, I think Censer Bearers can probably clear out chaff very, very quickly. They have combat speed 15. All Skaven have combat speed in the teens. Okay, so what I'm thinking is you can put the Censer Bearers out front, have them charge in first, spawn poison clouds that poison up the enemy as they overrun the Censer Bearers, and then bring in the Storm Vermin to finish them off. That does mean you're losing your Censer Bearers every battle, but it's still a viable strategy. Okay, so that's the nation. So, what have we got? We've got a lot of death. We've got at least a little bit of death on pretty much every major mage. The only exception is the Molder Mutators. We've got quite a bit of earth magic. We've got a little bit of fire from the Squire Warlocks. And we have Astral, pretty high level Astral, but only on Grey Seers. So if we want to pull Communion shenanigans, we have to get slaves from somewhere. We're much more likely, actually I take that back, because anyone with blood can cast the Sabbath Slave spell, and Sabbaths technically enter the same thing that Communions do. So you can use these guys and these guys as Communion slaves. You can even use these guys as Communion slaves. Okay. I think that's how it works anyway. I think Communions and Sabbaths are the same thing. So yeah, that would mean you could cast... if that works that way, which I think it does, if you get like a 3 or 4 death Grey Seer, or a 3 or 4 Astral Grey Seer, you could set up a big ol' Sabbath and pump them up to like level 6 or 7 pretty easily. Interesting. Okay, let's go. So, I'm going to load my Pretender God, Seer Lord Confusion. He is an Arch Seer Lord. Before I do that, though, let's just look. You can see there are several unique Skaven Pretender chassis. There is the Skaven Seer Lord, who is a rainbow. costs nothing, interestingly. I'm not sure if this is a bug or intended, but the Seer Lord is very, very cheap, has Astral and Death Magic, and can get other paths very cheaply, and is also an adept researcher. There's the Keeper of the Pillar, who it looks like was kind of trying to be a super combatant. I mean, he has invulnerability, fear, these 2 Bane Blades that decay what they hit, and a hoof attack. And he's size 4. Overall, I don't think from looking at him that he would actually be a terribly good super combatant early in the game, maybe later. With a native defense skill of 20 and magic resistance of 18, give him some gear and he could be very, very tough. But in the early game, I'm looking at protection 10 at 85 hit points and thinking, he's probably going to get chopped down. We have the Arch Plague Lord, who only costs 50 points, has a lot of hit points, large size, lots and lots of attacks, including the Fly Swarm, which is armor negating poison, and the Bubonic Sector, which casts Soul Slay. It just casts Soul Slay on anyone it hits. That's crazy. Crazy powerful. But otherwise is not terribly threatening. And then you have the Pillar of Commandments, which is an expensive, immobile Pretender chassis that is almost invincible. 350 hit points, 26 protection, a Banefire's Shield, which I don't think I've ever seen except on the King of Banefires, and a whole bunch of paths. So the Pillar of Commandments is pretty solid, just expensive. So I went with the Seer Lord because I wanted cheap. So we're going to make random events. Yeah, let's make it rare. We'll put on minor story events. We will take on the score graphs. Leave all of these standard. Let's look at the thrones. We have 6 players in total. We're going to make it, let's make it 7 ascension points required. We're going to have 5 level 1, 2 level 2, and 1 level 3 throne. So yeah, you'll have to take at least half the thrones no matter what you do to get those 7. Well, you could take the level 3 and both level 2s. Maybe we'll make it 8. Yeah, we'll make it 8. Okay. There we go. And let's generate our world. Actually, I'm going to change. Renaming is allowed. If you would like to be a filthy ratman, by all means let me know in the comments. I will name a filthy ratman after you. No guarantees on whether they'll survive. Ratmen backstab each other all the time, but I'll do it. So let's generate our map. Alright, so it is spring in year 0 of the Ascension Wars for the Skaven. In the beginning there was chaos, now the wheel has turned once again to more chaos because, you know, the Skaven are involved. So let's take a look at the map. We're not going to get too far in this first episode, we're just going to kind of look at where things are. So here is our wheel-like little map. We are here in Skavenblight with our temple, the Undercity, the Pillars of Skavenblight, the council chambers. We're right next to a little lake. We've got some fields over here, some woods, the Thing Woods, some other fields, a couple of mountains. We are a mountain province ourselves. We start off with Blistertooth the Chieftain, Tolak Stabtail the Scout, and Seer Lord Confusion, who I took awake. You can see here what I've taken on him. I took 2 levels of Earth Magic, 6 levels of Astral, and 4 levels of Death. I chose the magic. I ended up with quite a sizable bless, but not a very efficient one, because I was more concerned with the magic. 6 levels of Astral Magic will let us forge certain very powerful high-level Astral items, and 2 levels of Earth in combination with those 6 levels of Astral will let Seer Lord Confusion forge some very specific Astral Earth crosspath items that otherwise I can't get, and that are extremely useful, like the Crystal Shield and the Crystal Skullcap, that do good things for Astral Mages. The Crystal Shield, for example, just casts Power of the Spheres, which boosts everybody's magic at the start of the battle. It's a fantastic item. I also took 4 levels of Death, so that I could eventually boost Death up to level 6 or 7, and cast some of the high-level Death ritual spells. Blessing-wise, we can look at my bless. I have morale +1, of course. I took magic weapons, decay weapons, and a total of magic resistance +3. Basically, I want my troops to be as immune to magic as possible. I also took magic and decay weapons so that my council guard and my pestilence sensor bearers could be just extra super lethal. I think council guards are actually a pretty solid unit, especially for the cost. So I feel like using them to expand, there's worse things you could do with your time. In any case, Seer Lord Confusion is going to spend his first turn researching. These two guys I'm going to prophetize Blistertooth, I guess, and send out Tolak Stabtail to scout. But while I'm getting that set up, let's look at our research, because like I said, I think there are a whole bunch of Skaven national spells. So you start off with 1 level of Conjuration, 1 level of Enchantment. Let's look at my scales first, actually. I took 3 Turmoil because it's Skaven-y. I did that for thematic reasons, not for any strategy, just because we're the Skaven. Of course we have 3 Turmoil. I also took 3 Luck to mitigate that 3 Turmoil somewhat. I took 1 Heat just for points, 2 Growth, because the Skaven do breed like rats. And I took 3 Magic to make my research more efficient and my magic more powerful. So yeah, I have 1 level of Thaumaturgy, 1 of Enchantment, 1 of Evocation, and 1 of Conjuration. I will definitely want to research some Blood Magic here. Yeah, okay, you can already see some of our national spells. We can breed Rat Swarms, which sacrifices 5 Blood Slaves for 16 giant rats. Molder Pit Breeding is an experimental process. So this is basically, I think, a more efficient crossbreeding spell. So crossbreeding breeds a whole bunch of random creatures, some of whom are powerful. Molder Pit Breeding does the same thing, but cheaper. And I think it also breeds just random creatures. We have breed Pestilence Plague Rats, which breeds rats that I think have that disease bite ability that Plague Priests have. At level 4, we can breed Rat Ogres, which are large, strong, stupid. They're like ogres, basically. I don't know exactly how they've been translated to this game. In Total War Warhammer, Rat Ogres are a staple of Skaven armies, and they're really, really useful. Not sure about this game, but hopefully they're very useful. At level 6, we have improved Molder Pit Breeding that gives you a whole bunch of creatures. At level 7, we have Mix 1,000 Poxes. It takes 2 blood and 3 death. I'm not sure who even gets that. Which summons the Cauldron of 1,000 Poxes. Interesting. Its mere presence will cause poisonous winds to sweep the battlefield. Fascinating. Wonder how that works. Okay, and then these are all just the regular blood spells. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So we definitely have lots of good blood summons. I'm figuring Rat Ogres will probably be a staple. Molder Pit Breeding and Improved Pit Breeding, once we get up to there, will also probably be a staple. In Conjuration, at level 4, we have Vermintide, which is a Holy Death spell. And it summons Crazed Vermin. 5+ Crazed Vermin. And it costs 50 fatigue. Interesting. Okay, so we can just summon a whole bunch of screaming rats with Vermintide. Any other conjuration spells? At level 8, with Death and Astral, we can contact a Vermin Lord. So we can summon a Greater Demon, who has magic paths, probably, I imagine, Astral and Death, and is very powerful in combat. Interesting. Okay, so that's a high-level conjuration summon. Alteration. What do we have in Alteration? We have Warp Static. So this explodes Skaven into flames. When struck, the warp power crackling around the ratmen will discharge in a violent blast, hopefully as lethal for their foe as it is for the unfortunate Skaven. So what does this do? So this causes combustion. Magic resistance negates combustion. And it looks like it targets friendlies. Oh, that's extremely Skaven. That's very, very Skaven. On the table, in the tabletop game, Skaven had a rule. Normally, in the tabletop game, you can't shoot into melee because you can't fire at your own troops. Skaven had a rule that allowed them to fire on their own troops and had a random chance of hitting the enemy. So this is an extremely Skaven ability. Warp Static, it does... So what it does is it lights people on fire over a huge area, and it can be targeted at your own troops. Oh, that's clever. I like that spell. Higher level, do we have any other specialties? No, we don't have any other special spells besides Warp Static, but that's clever. I like that. I like, whoever made this mod, you done good. You did a good job. In Evocation, it looks like we do have a few Evocation spells. Minor Warp Lightning, Precision Penalty, Okay, so this is... Fatigue costs 10. Interesting. Wow. I mean, that's basically an inaccurate, short-ranged triple lightning bolt, is what that is. It even has the minor area shock effect that's exactly the same. So it can do fatigue damage and stun people and stuff. And it hits 3 times, but it has -2 precision, so it can't hardly be aimed. And as the Skaven, you don't have access to any of the precision-increasing spells. So it's... But it's low fatigue, so spamming minor warp lightning, that actually makes people with 1 earth usable battle mages, because they can cast that a lot. Like, if you have 2 earth, this costs almost no fatigue. If you have 1 earth, it still can be cast like 8 or 9 times before you even have to wait a turn. And it's armor negating. So, that's actually pretty powerful. We also have Pestilent Breath, which is an area of effect poison spell. This is probably a lot like Breath of the Dragon. It has area of effect 4+, and it's 1 death. So if you have a high-level Deathcaster who has holy levels, so Grey Seers can do this, and Clan Pestilence commanders can do this. And that could be a very wide area. At level 4, we have Warp Lightning. It costs an Earth Gem. Oh, but it has 12 effects and 0 precision. So, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of lightning. So you can absolutely blast the crap out of people with Earth Gems. With, if you have some Clan Squire Warlocks at level 4 evocation, that's powerful. Acid Rain, we can't do Acid Rain. Now it only hits individuals, it doesn't hit a whole square. So there's that. Like, Thunderstrike will hit a whole square, and that will also do Thundershock damage all around it. I think Thunderstrike is still a more powerful spell in some ways, and Warp Lightning does cost a gem. But, I don't know, I think the main value of this actually would be that it would scatter shock damage all throughout a large enemy army, and it would stun a whole bunch of units. Temporarily. Because, I mean, the damage is good, the damage is quite decent, and the number of effects is quite decent. Like, it would hit a whole bunch of people, but it would only really be effective against a large army. Interesting, I'll have to think about that. Okay, so that looks like about all we have. Minor Warp Lightning. Yeah, Minor Warp Lightning, honestly, I think might be better. But so we do have some cool spells there. In Construction, this is where we get most of our Clan Scryer goodness. So at level 2, we can outfit Poison Wind Globadiers, which are ranged attacks that throw bombs that explode into area of effect poison. At level 3, we can outfit Warp Fire Throwers, which have flamethrowers that I think probably will fire Banefire. I think it'll probably be Banefire, so it'll have a decay effect. At level 4, we have Warp Lightning Throwers and Doom Flayers. Doom Flayers are like mechanical cavalry, basically. You'll see them. I'll summon some of these later on. This is gonna be fun. At level 7, we can construct the Doom Wheel. If you've watched any of my Skaven Warhammer Total War videos, you have seen Doom Wheels. You know what they are. They're pretty hilarious. And then at level 8, we can construct the Screaming Bell. So this is something that has to be done by a Grey Seer with 3 levels of Astral. And the Screaming Bell grants the Grey Seer additional powers, so this will summon a commander, a magically powerful commander. And it looks like he'll probably have morale effects, so that's really cool. Okay, I'm liking this. There are a lot of Skaven spells here. In Enchantment, we have Skitter Leap, which is an area of effect 1 teleport, it looks like, that Grey Seers can cast. Interesting. We have Favor of Nurglitch. Oh, total immunity to all poisons. At level 3? Wow! An area of effect 45. Oh, okay. So, you can use Favor of Nurglitch with a Death Gem to make an army of Censer Bearers immune to poison. And then they can charge in and dish out that area of effect poison on everybody. Okay, that's cool. At level 4, we get Death Frenzy. Magic resistance negates. It looks like it probably sends your whole army berserk. That's probably what it does. It sends your whole army berserk. Okay. If I want to cast that on my sacreds, I shouldn't bless them first, because it is magic resistance negates. And then nothing else special. Okay. Oh, this is cool. Thaumaturgy. Anything special in Thaumaturgy? Thaumaturgy is the one school in which the Skaven don't have anything special. Alright, so, strategy-wise, this video is going to be a little bit short since this is kind of the introduction, but in terms of strategy, here's what I'm thinking. Looking at the research, the first thing I want to do, the very first thing, is get level 2 evocation, because level 2 evocation alone makes my low-level mages pretty decent. I actually want to get up to level 4 evocation probably for Warp Lightning, but I want to stop, I think, at level 2, because then I want to move into construction. I want to get up to level 4 construction as quick as I can. Level 4 construction will let me forge earth boots and dwarven hammers, which will make my forging much more efficient. And it will let me outfit Globatiers, Warp Fire Throwers, Warp Lightning Throwers, and Doom Flayers. So it'll get me a whole bunch of my lower level summons. After that, I probably want to move into Blood. Like, enchantment is nice and all, but it's not really essential. Favor of Nurglich will be a valuable spell later on, so I'll want to splash into enchantment. But Blood magic, I think a lot of my research focus is going to be on summoning units. So I want to get up to level 4 so I can breed rat ogres and I can do Molder Pit breeding. Eventually, of course, I'll want to get up to level 6 for improved Molder Pit breeding. Not entirely certain about the Cauldron of 1,000 Poxes. It might be really powerful, but I don't know. But I definitely want to get up to level 4 construction, and then level 4 blood. With my evocation level 2, I think that should be enough for real early battles, because I'll be sending out a lot of mages. And then with construction up and blood magic up, I'll be able to spend a lot of gems outfitting a lot of units. So in terms of recruitment, initially I think I want to expand with Council Guard backed up by... I'm short on resources. That's my problem. Probably backed up by Plague Monks, I'm thinking? Or even just Skaven Slaves to soak up hits. 17 resources, 17 resources. The other option is to go with Clan Rats or just straight Plague Monks. I mean, how many Plague Monks can I recruit? Never mind. I think I want to just go with Plague Monks, because I can get a lot of Plague Monks. I can pretty much... I should be able to just kind of swarm the enemy under. They are undisciplined, though. They're undisciplined. I'm not sure about that. I need more resources. Let's take, like, 3 Council Guard and then Skaven Slaves. First of all. Then I can actually recruit Chieftains at 2 for 1. But what I want to do first is... I think I want Molder Mutator. Well, Molder Mutators have a morale penalty to anyone who isn't a slave. They have a morale penalty to slaves, too. So who's Taskmasters? Chieftains are Taskmasters. And Warlords are Taskmasters. So probably what I want to do is... I've got him turning into a prophet. He's got a decent setup of Clan Rats. We're going to make them all 1 unit. That will hopefully be a decent expansion. Actually, I don't need the slaves because I've got the Clan Rats. So let's get another Council Guard and then 1 more Clan Rat there instead. Just to add a little bit of punch with those high damage glaives. And then let's start actually just recruiting wizards right away. Let's start recruiting, probably Molder Mutators, because they will also serve as efficient blood searchers. Or Molder Packmasters. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see how effective 2d6 giant rats will actually be at clearing out the enemy. Because I don't have any other animals for Molder Packmasters to lead, but with their... even with the morale penalty, Council Guard will still have decent morale. So a Molder Packmaster with some Council Guard to back up the rats might be an effective expansion party. I'm not sure. I'll have to find out. I just don't know enough about the Skaven yet. I'm going to have to experiment. But I'm definitely excited because their magic looks really, really cool. So, thank you all so much for watching this video. More of this will be coming soon. We are going to explore the Skaven through the lens of Dominions 5, or explore Dominions 5 through the lens of the Skaven, one of the two, and we'll see how they do. As I said, if you would like to be a rat, please leave a comment down below, and I will ratize you. And you will probably die, but, you know, we'll see how it goes. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.